Good?
Yep. Good evening, everyone. Gary Gabagool here with my boy Sal.
What's up, everybody?
For the number 25 Red Podcast. We're a quarter century into 100. So
half the year in, maybe.
Oh, half the year's in and a quarter of the way to 100.
Yeah, man.
Sal got some Queens of the Stone Age going.
Just rock out tonight.
Just rock out because, quite frankly, we have returned. We have returned to the week of disaster. Utter social media and liberal disaster. I think it was quiet for maybe 1 week, maybe 5 days, but obviously the media cannot, or liberals cannot, tolerate peace and tranquility in our society. Can't do it.
No. We can't have any kind of unity.
Nothing.
Trump's great UN speech.
Right.
And no kind of unity, no kind of solidarity. What can we do to divide as much as we can? What kind of subject can we conjure up here?
And who would think that growing up, we talked about this last week. I'm not going to rehash it too much about my past history, but growing up in the 70s and 80s, men played football. They were men, not just physically tough men, mentally tough men. Now in 2017, we have physically tough men with minds like children playing football. I'm going to give you an example. I cannot, over the past 3 or 4 days, since President Trump made his speech in Alabama, by the way, which was a great one, was honest as hell. I loved it. But he called the players who don't stand for the flag, that the owners should fire those sons of bitches. You would have thought that these guys were all crying over him using the word sons of bitches. And I find it funny because when the NFL Network mics up these guys, they got a bleep every 3 seconds.
Even like a live CBS, NBC,
of course,
you hear an F-bomb.
Oh, yeah, always.
Bitch, or we got you, son.
Right. And all these, and so these guys' sensibilities act like they're so in an uproar because he said sons of bitch. I found it to be hypocritical and comical. But here's what I think, and Sal and I were talking about this previously. For those of you who are too young, or maybe you didn't follow or didn't know this, President Trump started a league called the USFL, the United States Football League, back in the 80s. He signed some really good players away from the NFL, like Herschel Walker, Doug Flutie.
Doug Flutie. Like the prize.
Couple guys, big guys. And the NFL takes pride in it. They have a monopoly. They don't want anyone to compete with them. They're so monopolizing. They don't even want another sport to compete against and monopolize their time. So when a football league came in, they band together. Every single owner band together and trashed USFL. They used their huge political clout, their huge buying power, and they tried to crush the USFL. Matter of fact, they called it the Scab League. They ran, the media run a bunch of bad ads against the USFL.
Well, it was successful because they sunk the USFL, like the NBA sunk the ABA.
Right, exactly. It's no different.
Yeah.
It's no different. The ABA had a couple better years, and then they brought all the players on board. But USFL didn't even have that many. I think maybe 1 or 2 that they had. But
the point is,
here we are, 35 years later. President Trump doesn't forget this shit. Nope. So what did he do? I personally think that he had a well laid out plan. He set the bombs, the bear traps, the ditches and everything else. And these guys all walked in on it perfectly to his plan. He knew every American who loves this country was not going to stand for these dummies and dopes taking a knee. These overpaid, high-priced millionaires talking about oppression. It's a joke.
Well, I get what they're doing, the racial injustice. The thing is, you can't protest the American flag for racial injustice.
Correct.
You can't do that. It
Correct.
Doesn't correlate.
Correct.
What did predecessors do when there was racial injustice? They marched.
Right.
So you have there's predated history of what to do.
Correct.
For this situation. It worked. The marches worked, right? Civil rights movement,
Right.
Sort of worked, kind of worked.
No, it worked.
So that's the path to go. Now you're protesting a flag that means something way more like racial justice.
Correct.
So that's
you're
where
nail on the head.
That's where the whole two sides split apart.
Plus, there's something that the facts just don't add up.
Yeah.
And basically, when you look at the facts of racial injustice here in America, and they're specifically talking about maybe like cop killing or white people kill blacks at a 0.75% rate, 0.780. Not even 1% of blacks are killed by white people. Now, blacks kill white people at an almost 10% clip. It's kind of a lot. So think about this. And blacks kill other blacks, huge. Like 78%, 80%, they kill each other. So when they're sitting here talking about this stuff, they're talking about less than 1%. This is the same thing. If you think about it, this equates to the same thing about transgenders who the Democrats and liberals made such a big stink over. You're talking about less than 1% of a population.
Think about the real thing that they're covering up here. It's that disproportionately speaking, minorities and let's just call it black people, they commit way more crimes.
Correct.
Proportionally to their numbers.
Facts.
It's like, we say there's 70% of white people.
There's 13% black people.
They commit 90% of the crime. So maybe that's why there's racial inequality, injustice. Maybe that's why there's profiling, because they're the ones committing all the crime.
Right.
I don't know. It's just food for thought.
Well, and in the NFL, since the year 2000, there have been 656 convicted felonies for players. It's a lot. That's a lot in a league that doesn't have that many players. So the criminals themselves are coming from the NFL, but Roger Goodell doesn't want to talk about that. And my solution to all this is I have a couple of things within the NFL, and Sal can comment on that as well. A couple of things really piss me off. And I saw it this morning, and here's another thing I want to mention. The Pittsburgh Steelers, if they are not the number one most popular team,
one most hated team now.
Right. They're not the number one most popular team over the last 30 years, 40 years. They're close. Probably the Cowboys and them go back and forth. But just for argument's sake, they're one or two up there. They're very popular. I saw people today, lifelong Steeler fans, throwing their shit in a bonfire, all their merch, all their merchandise. I saw a guy today take his season tickets, and he said, I'm an ex-Marine. I served several tours overseas. I'm a huge NFL fan. I thought about selling these tickets, but what would that do? That would just have people there. He goes, so I want to take a stand and make a sacrifice for my brothers who have died over there and left their bodies and their families. And he took the book of tickets, and he showed each week. And they were legit. They were all, I never had season tickets before, but it was a nice package they put together. It had the cover of the Steelers, and then when you open it up, the tickets were pretty fancy. It was like a sheet of books, and he just threw all them in. Had to cost several $1,000s.
I saw that a lot today.
Yeah.
It was all NFL teams. The only dude who stood up for the Steelers, that Villanueva dude, his jersey was #1 in sales.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? That's an excellent point. I'm not even a Steelers fan. I'd go out and buy his jersey because he deserves it. And
isn't that a telltale sign?
It's a telltale sign. And I don't know if you guys saw Mike Tomlin, who I always thought was a smart dude and a good coach. He seemed to me in the past to have a lot of character. He fucked up so bad today because I don't know if you saw what he said, but he bashed Villanueva. He basically said that Villanueva didn't participate with the team and that he should have been in the locker room with them. And not once did he say this guy fought overseas. And he made some bullshit claim that he was not being political when that's exactly what he was being. Because he was not political. He would have had his guys march out to the field, do everything they do normally, hand over heart, watch it. And also, if you guys don't notice, in the NFL playbook on page 63, 64, there is proper etiquette when the national anthem is being played. If you are not doing it, you are breaking the bylaws of the NFL. So Roger Goodell don't even know his own fucking laws. The owners who were there don't even know their own laws, and obviously the players don't know it. The coaches.
That actually all started in 2009. Did you
Right.
read that?
Yep.
When they sold the defense contracts in the NFL, all
Yep.
the advertising.
Yep.
They
They
paid. In 2009, they said you have to stand for the national anthem now. It's part of the game.
Part of the game.
Yeah.
So in the last 10 years, they've screwed everything.
That was all.
Of course, well, it's all about revenue.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Sal brings up a great point. The NFL are the whore masters of sports. They are not even close. You can't even compare them to the NBA, the Major League Baseball, and NHL. They are whore masters. They will sell their mothers for $1. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Sal just mentioned it. If the military wants to put on a flag or do a tribute, they have to pay like advertisers to the NFL, and they do it. They spend a lot of money per year. Every time you see an NFL tribute to a military person, the military, and of course the military is getting, it's a recruitment tool. I get it. And so it's not like the military is innocent in all this, but they need to pay a lot of money to the NFL to get this done. So the NFL is not all up and doing this for the love of American military men.
And so the Steelers, since they got caught, not caught, well, since they acted the way they acted yesterday, and everybody was completely outraged, of course.
Yep.
Ben Roethlisberger, the quarterback, he came out. This is before I got home. This is only like.
Did he double down?
No, he came out saying that he was so apologetic and that he didn't know exactly how it was going to go. He didn't want to be a part of it. He's so sorry to all the men and women who served. But now they're saying the Steelers will be out for the next game. They're not going to.
Of course, damage control.
But he said that he doesn't know if some guys are going to sit, kneel, or will do whatever. But he said, I didn't read the full thing.
Roethlisberger said this?
No, I'm pretty sure he said it, but I'm pretty sure he said he's going to stand. Or something.
Well,
so he was completely saying sorry, apologetic, didn't mean it.
What I don't understand is why, if you know what this guy Villanueva was through, he did 3 tours. He was a special operator. He was an Army Ranger. He had some brothers die over there. And Sal made a great point about the history of racial oppression and the correct way to do it. This is something, I don't know if people know what this is. This is the flag, not a flag. It's a folded up flag. This means that someone fought for our country and died. That's what this is. This is given to you at a funeral. And there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in the last 50, 60, 70 years that family members have been given this flag that I'm holding right now. And so this flag is more than just, it has nothing to do with racial oppression. It's got nothing to do with the shit that went down in 1600s. It's all bullshit. And people take this shit seriously, as you can see, because I don't know if you saw, I read yesterday that a 10% drop in ratings to the NFL means they lose $200 million in revenue. So I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, and my wife pointed out to me, yesterday was the lowest rated football Sunday in the history of the NFL. I think they went down between, I think they said at times the average was 13%, but at times went almost up to 20%. That means if 20% of the people tuned out, and mark my words, people, next week will be a debacle for the NFL. A debacle.
It's going to be a ratings mess for them. No one's going to watch it. But this is a good, true way to really kill the NFL. A lot of people don't know this. The NFL only makes money through merchandise by selling jerseys. They only sell these jerseys to men ages, let's say, 16 through like 30.
Right.
So they need to stop buying these stupid jerseys.
Stop buying everything.
And that's the other obviously, let's boycott, Microsoft and Nike.
Yeah.
Don't buy Budweiser and, no Pepsi. Cut your Visa card in half.
Yeah.
Don't cut your cable cord. All this shit. All these people support the NFL. But did you know this, Gary? Did you know that if you buy a guy's jersey, if that athlete sees you out in real life and you're wearing his jersey, he gets to fuck you?
Probably, yeah. You know what's funny? A lot of these guys, he probably does. But
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You're such a fanboy. You see the guy. Yeah.
But no, my thing is, I want to know how much of that jersey the player gets and how much the NFL gets.
It's just a crock of shit. You're a grown man wearing another grown man name. Cut the shit.
I completely agree with you.
Let's go.
And there's another couple things I want to talk about the NFL, then we can move on. But Do you know the NFL? When they built, why do you think the NFL is building all these new stadiums? They're building stadiums when the other one's not even nothing wrong with it. They're building it because taxpayers finance these stadiums. And the NFL is a non-profit. So here's my thing. If Donald Trump really wants to screw the NFL, he could say, you know what, NFL? Now you become a league that makes political statements. Sorry, you're no longer non-profit anymore. We're going to start taxing you. You're going to pay a tax like every other company pays taxes. And where are you going? You ain't going anywhere. Can't go to another country.
They don't watch
football. They don't give a shit about football.
Exactly.
And the last thing,
this country is not going to either.
I'm telling you, Sal and I said this 4 podcasts ago.
I've been saying this before the season started, right? Way before the season started.
I said this about when
no one's gonna watch this shit anymore.
But people are fed up. They're fed up. And here's the thing too. These assholes, and I don't know, Sal definitely knows. I wasn't following closely enough. Whoever played in London yesterday, these douchebags stood for the England's national anthem. And when the American anthem came down in front of English people, they kneeled. That is friggin' disgusting. The country, listen, I have nothing against England. Matter of fact, we love our English all across the pond. We love you. Viewers, yeah. We love our English viewers. We love talking to people from England. I get hit on Facebook about 1 million people from England who are super cool. Here's the thing. Do you think, I would say the biggest game in England is soccer. Would you agree?
No.
Okay. Do you think Manchester United, think about this, people. Manchester United plays a game here in America. They play the national anthem. The Manchester United guys stand upright, hand over heart. Then they go into the English national, God Save the Queen, whatever that is, and they kneel. No fucking way. It would never happen. But these jerk-offs that play for the NFL do that. That is a disgrace. Yeah. So right now you have all these building blocks of just completely asinine behavior by NFL players who are now they're doubling, tripling. And I'm going to tell you something. You're going to see what's going to happen. You're going to see ratings tank, which they have already, but they're going to get worse. Matter of fact, they're going to plummet to an all-time lows.
No one's going to buy the merch anymore.
No one's buying that. People are not only buying it, like Sal mentioned, they're burning it. Yeah. How many? On Facebook today, my wife and I looked at about 10 guys, 10, just throwing all their shit into a fire. We saw a guy from Kansas City. This guy's house looked like a tribute to the Chiefs. I'm talking, he had shit everywhere. He had so much shit in the fire. I thought he was going to have the Towering Inferno going up. He had jackets, shirts, pillows, blankets. This guy had everything. Red everywhere. Sea of red. Burned.
This is the big part of the plan is to attack patriotism.
Yeah.
That's the whole part of this whole liberal ideal that, the social justice warriors want to push now through the NFL is to attack patriotism because in the future, that brings down America.
Of course.
If you don't have anybody willing to fight for your country and believes in it, you're gonna have an army of pussies.
Right.
And in the future.
The last thing
that's what they're trying to get to. That's what they're trying to get to. So then the invaders come and it's easy.
And they take us over.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to talk about is this, and then we're going to move on if Sal's ready to do so. What happened when everyone said President Trump, and I'm going to tie this together, you're going to get right to my point. What happened when everybody said that President Trump was going to win? I said it. People told me I was a fool. The media said the polls have him down 20 points. Hillary in a landslide. Your vote doesn't count. They said all this shit. And what happened? That night watching was one of the most joyous nights of my adult life. Right? It was great. But my point being this is the NFL thought that their product was so bulletproof. They thought they were the Hillary Clinton of sports. Roger Goodell is the most arrogant, egotistical guy about his NFL product that you could buy. He rules by intimidation and power and money and greed. Same thing, because think about what he did with the concussion issue. He basically told that guy that you saw in that movie, he basically tried to intimidate him. They follow him around. They said this guy, some guy from Africa who came here to America and became a citizen, isn't going to tell us how we're going to treat these players. So these players who play for these league for many years, and we all know their names, the guys who committed suicide, the guys who killed themselves, shot themselves in the head. We know the list is this long of these guys who did it. Roger Goodell didn't give one rat's ass about them. And then what did he do? The guys who came out against him, he called them crazy, like they did Hillary with us. And he thought our product is so loved and beloved by American males, they will never turn their backs. And I saw today a lot of people who loved the NFL for a lot of years turn their back. So once again, President Trump was correct. Sal was correct. I was correct. The NFL, wrong. Wrong as big as, and you're going to see things. I don't think it's ever going to get better. I think they built a hole they dug a hole so deep for the NFL, they never climbing out of it. Matter of fact, it's just going to be sunk lower and lower and lower.
Yeah. I mean, the last person, I'm the last person I ever thought would not watch the Giants or NFL, and it's just like, and it's unbelievable how like unwatchable it is. And it's not just because the Giants suck and all that right now. It's just that you can't watch the product. You can't listen to the broadcast.
Well, and then listen, that's a whole nother thing. We're talking about the stuff that happened off the field, basically, or
the on the field stuff sucks.
Oh,
and then listening to the guys talk about the on the field stuff sucks. So it's just like,
I mean, the announcers have made everything political. They point out all the, before the game, they got to go into all the guys who are sitting and why, and who the fuck wants to listen to these idiots do this. Then the amount of commercials, because Goodell has made the game all about money.
Yeah.
That is it.
I want to go into a little diatribe right now on LeBron James.
Let's go. That's the perfect segue because he's tied in. Go. And Stephen Curry, too.
Yeah,
they're tied up together.
Yeah, they're definitely tied together. Stephen Curry, whatever. LeBron, he's the prototypical liberal, though. It's what makes me laugh. The dude. All right, let's think. We've been watching LeBron James since high school.
He made $80 million last year.
Listen, hear me out. He has been playing on TV since high school. Correct. Since he was a junior in high
school. The McDonald's.
How many other high school players do you know?
No.
None.
Right.
Maybe a little privilege, just going off the top here.
Right.
Never had to work a day in his life.
No, never had a job.
Not one. Not one.
That's his job.
He never had to wake up early. He never had to do hard shit. Yes, training is hard and keeping yourself in that type of shape is great. But when you're getting paid to do it, it's not hard work.
No, not at all.
So now this is the best part about it is he got on Twitter or Facebook or wherever the hell he did. I didn't see it. I just read about it. His grammar was so bad, no one liked it, retweeted it, did shit. So today he had to have like a press conference or the day before because he can't actually type it out because he's a moron.
He's a moron.
And then all he did was rail against this is social. I can't believe our president is against social injustice, racial inequality, and it's just like, dude, that's not what it is. It's not what it's about.
No.
And it's just how I know the people on the right are at fault too, but it's all on the left, most of it. They don't open their eyes and don't see the other side of what people are actually talking about. Right. No one cares. Racial inequality is horrible. No, it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't fucking happen. But we're arguing that you're going against the flag, which is for our country. Right. They just can't seem to grasp it. And they can't seem to grasp it.
No, and you're right. It's like comparing apples to oranges, and people have that feeling for the flag. It's not a piece of cloth. It's about the people who died on 9/11. The people in the Pentagon who died. It's the people who get paid $28,000 a year, go overseas, leave their family, get killed, lose a limb, come back. And you want me, and Sal just made a perfect point.
It's not for racial inequality, man. That's not why the protest.
And you want LeBron James to be your spokesperson for racial inequality anyway?
Go march.
Well, here's a guy who made $80 million last year. Then you have a guy like Stephen Curry.
He's never worked.
And he's never worked. Stephen Curry and him together now are joining together on Twitter to go against President Trump.
They weren't fucking gangbangers and drug dealers. They didn't have to make their way through shit. They were bred into basketball. Right. They never worked hard. Del Curry was Steph Curry's dad.
Right.
A legend.
Yes.
They never, ever were oppressed.
Nope.
They never felt oppression. They never saw oppression.
They lived a better life than 99.99% of every American.
Every one of us.
Every one of us. And this next year coming up, they're going to be making $500 million in 1 year combined. And let me tell you something else. I didn't know this to today, and this is how I hate to be petty or I hate to be nitpicking, but this is how it has to work. Stephen Curry wants to open his mouth, and the rich, spoiled, entitled little punk bitch that he is, his wife has a show on the Home Shopping Network, or the Food Network, I think. Food Network. Don't watch it. Writing in letters. We don't want to see it. We don't want an anti-American woman's husband on here. Get rid of him. And then she's going to be pissed at him. And you know what they say, happy life, happy wife? When his wife's going to be pissed off because this idiot doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut because he's got the good life. He's never seen a bad day in his life making $80-90 million a year to play basketball. You got to be fucking kidding me.
When I was, I'm kind of switching subjects
Go ahead.
to other stuff. When I was like younger, as a kid, I used to always hear like the crazy like far right wing people like, don't give gays and don't give the transgender rights because one day it's gonna go right to your kids. And I used to think like, these fucking people are nuts. Then what happens when you give gays and transgender rights? The first thing they do, they try to give their kids hormones.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh shit.
They're not wrong.
It's like, oh shit.
They're not wrong.
Like the things that sound really crazy, and then when they actually get acted out, it's like, whoa. Maybe they were right about a lot of this stuff. You know, the whole, God forgiving. I don't know about all that, but they were right. Like, it's pretty crazy, right? When you think about it.
Well, think about the stuff we read. That's like, you read 1984, George Orwell. You read The Rules for Radicals. You watch this show called it's a documentary called The Grinding Down of America. You watch these things, right? And when you watch them, you do exactly what Sal said. He said, "Oh my God, this is so fucking crazy." And guess what?
And then it happens.
And then you examine what was said 30 years ago, whether it's a right-wing supposed nut or it's these predictions that were made about communism in America. And you say, oh my God, every single one of these things has come to fruition. It's true.
Yeah, it is.
Scary shit.
Scary when you think about it.
Very scary.
It's scary shit that's happening in our country. So talking about, let's stick on scary and comical. I know that's an oxymoron, but this is scary but comical, people. And I bet you very few of you have heard of this, but it was on today and I've been following it. This maniac in North Korea has told his people. Now, people, you don't understand what's going on in North Korea. North Korea has no access. Their citizens have zero access to the internet, to any outside information. Any propaganda that's spread in their country is perpetrated on them by that little friggin', I don't even know what you want to call him, that little fidget. He told his citizens, Rocket Man. He told his citizens that Trump has declared war on North Korea, and then proceeded to tell the North Korean people, and showed videos of planes being blasted out of the air, that he just blew up the entire American fleet of planes, and said that he is kicking the Americans' ass all over in this war. And the only thing I can think of is this guy is playing a video game in his house, in his huge mansion as the president of North Korea. And he's basically, because things look so real on video games these days, he's just maybe saying that let's do a war game where we're fighting America. He's really good, or he has a kid that's really good, kicking him, and he's putting this out, and they're believing it.
State-of-the-art virtual reality.
Exactly. And this is what he's telling his people.
Yeah. But they're all brainwashed over there.
They're scared. If they disagree with him, you get killed.
Yeah. They're not going to be like, dude, that's not real. Oh, it's not?
Right. And and Sal's exactly right. That's what will happen. If you disagree with that little fidget, he kills you.
Yeah, but now the whole world is going to...
Well, yeah, they all look at him like he's a complete...
What are you doing?
That guy is running a country with a nuclear button, and you're worried what President Trump has to say about him is causing... This guy, think about what he just did. He is lying to hundreds and millions of people. I think
it's not that many.
North Korea, 92 million?
Is it that many? I thought North Korea is only the population of like a New York City.
Maybe you're right.
LA. I think it's only like 23, 25.
Okay, I might be wrong. You know what?
I think it's like 25.
I should have made that statement. I don't know how many people I should have known. But all right, let's say millions and millions of people. He's lying, saying that he's at a war with them. If that is not a pathological maniac liar that has a nuclear capability, we should be worried. We should be calling him Rocket Man. We should be insulting him. We should be looking to take him out. This guy is nuts. He's a whack job. He just happens to be there because he was part of the Lucky Sperm Club. His dad was a maniac, but not as crazy as him. You let this guy. That guy's like 30 something. He looks like he's 14. Look at what he wears. He wears a Nehru jacket. He looks like he belongs in a Austin Powers movie. No lie. That's what he looks like to me. When I watched him the first time I saw him, I'm like, this guy is an Austin Powers character. He's a joke.
It's funny. He does look like
That's what he looks like.
Does. Yeah, and I mean, going off of that, that's part of like what Trump was saying in his UN speech. Trump really surprised me. Like, I knew that we paid a lot into the UN. Yes. I didn't realize that the U.S. paid almost a quarter of the UN budget.
Yep.
And there's 193 countries in the
Correct.
UN, and we pay a quarter of it.
We've been getting screwed for years.
It sounds really disproportionate to me. Like, how come it's not split up in 193rds?
Plus,
I don't get it.
Plus, whenever there's a war, where our guys go over and do the fighting.
Yeah.
The UN doesn't do shit.
So I don't get it. Like, how did these other countries even get a say when we put in all the money and we do all the fighting?
Yep. So it's scary. And there's another part of this. President Netanyahu from Israel.
He's a G. He's a beast.
He said that was the best speech he has ever heard in his political and professional life. He said he never heard a man so honest, so forthright, so non-political, meaning he doesn't talk like a politician. That's what I love. Also, I don't know if you guys heard this. There's a President Ghani out of Afghanistan. Someone asked him what he thought about President Trump's speech, as well as what it's like to work with President Trump. This idiot from CNN was expecting, the prototypical answer. So guess what he said? You can watch it. It was on CNN. Stopped showing it, but it's on video on YouTube. President Ghani said, working with this man is an honor and a privilege. It's nothing like working with the former president of your country who always dilly-dallied, never got anything done, always gave you lip service. He goes, President Trump gave me a time that things get done, who and where he wants to be, who to attack, and a time that we want to be victorious. And he goes, we will be giving a lot more of our military services with the help of President Trump, because we want to help America now fight terrorism and ISIS. He goes, we have never done that before because we never had anything. And he goes, and for the fact of the matter is that Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama armed ISIS who were killing our men, which is a whole nother thing. But that was something that I thought was great.
Do you know the whole Netanyahu blackmail story? Do you know that?
I don't.
Netanyahu was becoming prime minister of Israel. This guy tried to blackmail him, and he did. He had all kinds of pictures of Netanyahu with another woman.
Not his wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the guy was like, give me this money. You can have the pictures, blah, blah, blah. So Netanyahu called a press conference the next day.
Yep.
He goes, listen, there's this guy trying to blackmail me, trying to extort me for money. He goes, yes, it is true that I was doing this, but what is worse of a crime? Someone trying to blackmail me for it, or is me coming out right now telling me full on saying his wife is by his side, she forgives me, she knows.
Yeah.
It totally blew up the guy's black. But this guy Netanyahu is gonna fight everything head on and go for it.
He takes responsibility.
Yeah, he gave us that air base now in Israel or whatever.
Well, it's funny because that is a G move.
Yeah.
And there's a movie and there's a show that I was watching that reminds me of exactly what you said. And when I watched it, you say to yourself, now that's a man. And I'm not saying, I don't know if you ever saw the Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
Kaiser Soze. Kaiser Soze, they have these guys come in, they're blackmailing him, and they have his kids and his wife, and they're saying to him, give up your information and we won't kill your family. And he knows that they're going to kill his family, so what does he do? He kills his own family, which makes these guys shit their pants about how crazy Kaiser Soze, and then he goes on to kill every one of them guys. And he's one guy alive and says, now you go out and tell everyone how crazy and how committed I am to my cause.
Great movie.
Great movie. The second thing was much more relevant, but as a show, was Billions. There's a guy named Dollar Bill. He works for the richest man in the world, who's this guy from this this poor kid from, I think he was from like Queens or Westchester that grew up and becomes one of the richest men in the world. He owns hedge funds and stuff. Dollar Bill gets caught by the government of having, all he did, he never committed a crime, but they said, we want you to rat on your boss on anything you can tell us, or we're going to tell everyone, your wife, that you have a second family. So Dollar Bill knows this, comes in the next day as planned, and they think he's going to give it up, and he goes, I don't give a shit. I already told my wife.
Yeah.
I sent her a text message 20 minutes ago that I have another, and they lost all their leverage. Yeah. And you can see the color just drain out of their faces. So it is that. Now that is men.
Yeah.
You make a mistake.
It's a man move.
You make a mistake.
You own up to it.
You own up to it, and you face it. But you don't turn into a sniveling little punk like. And it's kind of like the same way, you deal with a hostage. You never ever give in to the guys holding it. You kill them.
Don't give in to people who take hostages.
Exactly. Don't. And that's a rule that's been going on forever.
And a lot of stuff that's been thrown under the table this week because of news, mainstream media, and all this, social justice that they have to cover. James Clapper, right? That's his name. He lied about the wiretapping.
Yeah.
Manafort.
Oh yeah.
Paul Manafort.
Listen, that you and I are on the same page.
Huge.
Sal and I didn't even discuss this together, but the wiretapping. Not only did CNN, CNBC have to apologize, and they did it on their midnight show when it was no viewers whatsoever. They did it to President Trump, like Sal, was right again. Let me tell you something. This guy is combined. He's a professional chess player and a gunslinger from the Old West. Because every person he takes on, he either checkmates them and proves them wrong, or he shoots them in like a duel. He takes them on one, and he beats them every time. He was right about this wiretapping. And people, I don't know if you know this, that is a class 1 felony. You're not allowed to do this to private citizens. And the media, I'm going to tell you something right now.
That's a shit.
Well, Jeff Sessions better be doing something about this, because this makes Watergate look like a pimple.
Because Trump,
excuse me.
I know this is a little backhanded shit. So Trump extended the marijuana shit for an extra 3-4 months. So Sessions doesn't have anything to worry about with that. So he can actually focus. He doesn't have to go kill people over marijuana yet. He can go do serious shit now.
Yeah, this needs to be taken care of. This is big time stuff, because this basically, the FISA documents that Obama and Hillary let this happen and lied about it, that could be happening to anybody, not just President Trump. They did do it to other private citizens. They did.
And you don't hear about it.
You hear nothing.
The only time you hear about it, you hear more about the person who breaks the stuff, like Bradley, Chelsea Mann, or Snowden. You just find out about the person, not what the fucking shit that they put out.
Exactly.
That's what infuriates me. Right. Get to the meat. Let's not talk about this person and what they think and socially. I care about the stuff, that the information they know and they have.
Next week,
not who they are socially.
Sal and I are going to do some more research on this. We're going to watch it. But I saw a short video today of a former CIA agent named Ken Shipp. And Ken Shipp he's risking his life, but he's exposing the deep state and the shadow government. And he said that both are working together, but they're not the same. And he said the shadow government is based on money, power, and corruption.
The deep state isn't necessarily bad.
No, he said the deep state is, and he classifies the deep state as all of the secretive government agencies that basically work on intimidation and fear.
I feel like there's some people in the deep state, though, that are good.
Could be.
Trying to work counterbalance.
It could be.
Obviously we don't know.
But what he said was, it's interesting. He said, and I didn't know this. I know Jeff Bezos of Amazon owns a lot of shit. Do you know he owns the Washington Post? He owns the Washington Post. And he owns
a lot of newspapers.
Yeah, he owns a lot of newspapers. And he said that he signed a contract with the CIA for exchange of information.
Makes sense.
So the Washington Post information is the puppet. He said the strings are being pulled by puppet masters of the CIA. Also, before Jeff Bezos owned it, there was Jeff and Emily Graham who owned the Washington Post. He said they used to have meetings every day with these shadow government, deep state, and used to change their story to say what they were going to write and what not they were going to write.
Completely fake, the Washington Post. all like anything, basically, anything that has daily in it.
Yeah, it's
Shit
true.
Like that. It's just like it's not real.
Nowadays, the newspaper, the media, the cable, that sound, and I have said this, and I got to make a commitment that this week I am going to get rid of my cable.
You got to really just look at other options.
I'm getting rid. I can't stand it. I'm going to do it. And there was one other thing he said, and I only went through 15 minutes of this guy, and this was a pretty intense speech this guy did. But he said, "Do you know that there's a Lockheed Martin tax on every household in America? Every household pays $260 every year to Lockheed Martin because they are in charge, Lockheed Martin, of basically providing the algorithms and software to follow every person in this country with the IRS and things of that nature." Also, he said the company that Snowden used to work for is a big player in all this. He said there's 6 huge players.
NSA, right?
Yep. And also a private company that used to work for. I
don't know.
He said Snowden was a genius. He said he was a great dude.
He's a computer genius.
Right. So that's just something I want to add about the power of all this shit going on in our country. That's just mind-boggling. Craziness.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. What else you got?
Let's talk about the little Weiner going away.
Yeah, that's a comedy. That's a comedy.
That's a fun one. That's what
Little Weiner got convicted today of 21 months in federal prison for child pornography, pedophilia, all the shit.
But it's just like the correlation of it is so awesome.
It is great.
Like Hillary Clinton, husband, child rapist, rapist, freak.
Yep.
Sex scandals.
Yep.
Huma Abedin, her right-hand woman.
Children.
Child molester, sex freak husband. It's just like, what goes down the line.
So listen, and we said this before, and here's the thing, when it's funny, about 6 podcasts ago, Sam and I talked about this, and we went into, and we are going to delve further because there's been so much important stuff coming up, but we are going to go look into more like Pizzagate and all that stuff more, which is a lot of work and a lot of stuff. But just to give you a heads up, think about this. Sal just mentioned it. A couple people, other people, Jeffrey Epstein, a very good friend of Bill and Hillary Clinton, 2-time convicted pedophile.
Go figure.
Go figure. Lauren Silsby, the woman in charge of the Haiti operation, convicted of child trafficking and selling sex slaves.
So all people that are directly connected to Hillary and Bill Clinton.
Correct. Jorge Puello, prior to being charged, was Hillary Clinton's lawyer, convicted twice of pedophilia. Twice. The dude, the big cheese in Seattle, who gave a lot of money to the DNC and Hillary Clinton, 5-time convicted pedophile. 5.
These are all interconnected. It's not like people say there's the same shit goes on in the Republicans. I'll have to look into it, but I'm pretty sure that none of these Republicans are coordinating this shit together.
Right.
Not like these people are.
Listen,
they're trying to create an empire of pedophilia.
Right. The DNC guy, we talked about him 4 podcasts ago, convicted pedophile many, many times. The one Republican who I hated, his name was Dennis Hastert. He was a so-called Republican, but he voted with the Clintons every time, and he was rubbing elbows with Bill back then. He was one of the so-called traitors of the Republican Party, convicted mass pedophile, Dennis Hastert. Some big fat blowhard who was disgusting, convicted. He's in jail still, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He got convicted of so many child crimes. I think he's in jail for like 40 years. He may still even be there. All these people under the Clinton umbrella, pedophilia. All of them. And there's more.
I know.
We're just throwing names out, but that's something that's going on. And you're right, the pedophilia. Little Weiner. Another thing I want to mention, and we won't spend too much time on it, but I think it's interesting, is that we all know Dylan Roof, right? Dylan Roof was that little scumbag white kid that went to a black church and shot up 7 or 8 people. It was all over the media, that ugly face, that little punk bitch, for weeks. Well, here, you want to talk about hypocrisy and double standard in the media? This morning, a Sudanese immigrant went to a white church. His name was Emmanuel Kandega Sampson. He went to a white church and shot up the same amount of people. I didn't see it anywhere. Did you?
The only place I saw it was online. So
you didn't. Listen.
And I mean, what I mean by that is like not in any major publication at all.
So,
like,
right. So think about that, people. Dylan Roof.
It's like the Daily Caller or something like that. I don't know.
All right, now I haven't seen Dylan Roof's picture for years, but I can tell you what that little scumbag looks like because his face was plastered all over every news network,
skinny little
every paper. Meth head, exactly. This guy Kadega or Emmanuel Kadega, he was not to be seen anywhere, and he put out tweets of how he was going to kill people, how he hated white people. Nothing. That's how twisted. That's why we have this racial division that we have in this country, because of the media and these liberal scumbags that keep perpetuating it. Because if you didn't know any better, you would think that this never happened before. But white people do a crime, it's all over, especially if it's against blacks. You would think it happens every single day of our lives. Meanwhile, a black person commits a crime on a white person.
It's so rare. That's why they make such a fucking big stink of it. Exactly. It's so rare when a white person does this. It's just an everyday common occurrence when it comes to a minority.
Exactly.
It's just like, oh, they're screwed up people. They're minorities.
Right. Yeah. So that
you can't help it. You can't help it.
And here's what kills people. This kills two birds with one stone for them. They hate it. It's an immigrant. So he's not a naturalized citizen. So that's exactly what Trump said.
He's Muslim, right?
And I believe he might have been Muslim.
He's from Sudan, so most of that was mostly
Muslim. So that's the third thing then. And he's a black guy killing white people.
Yeah. They don't want to talk about any of that.
They don't want to think about that. They don't want to talk about that at all. So that's another.
That's the most common occurrence.
Right.
Is that happening? So they don't talk about that. They protest the oppression that they feel once every 3 years.
Yeah, they don't want to talk about any of this stuff. And I want to talk about a local issue here.
This is for all the time we were slaves. Yeah. You piece of shit. It's just like, those are not us. We live in a different time. That's what people are saying right now. Like a liberal watching this is freaking out, cursing us, calling our hotline, going crazy. And it's just like, we don't live then. It hasn't been like that in 160 years.
Don't you understand? This is a media created.
It's media driven, yeah. You know who?
Farce.
I'm outside. I go to 7-Eleven. Guess who I see all the time? Black people, Spanish people. Guess what happens every day?
Nothing.
We laugh together. We're harmonious. We joke. We talk. No one is at each other's throats. No one, what is this racial inequality that they speak of?
Yes. Well, yesterday.
Because I guess it only happens to rich people. Because I don't see it on our lower level. Like, I don't understand it.
Yesterday, I went, and this is a perfect example. Kind of what exactly Sal's talking about. This happened to me yesterday. I went to my usual coffee shop. I know a lot of you people laugh, but the coffee shop, a lot of things happen. But I get there, and I'm waiting for my buddy, having a cup of coffee, and Sunday, I never really been to the coffee shop on a Sunday. I usually just go during the week after work. But I went on a Sunday for a cup of coffee to meet a buddy. And there was a lot of people I never saw there. And there was a table full of 4 couples, and they all put their tables together. I couldn't help it. The coffee shop's pretty small. They don't have a lot. They don't, you can hear people talking, especially if there's a larger group. And right away, you can tell it was a liberal table. They were bashing Trump's UN speeches, calling it aggressive and causing problems, and oh my God, he said that thing about the NFL. Like, it was just ludicrous. It was prototypical liberals, probably from Montclair. And they proceeded. Now, it was funny because I turned around to watch these people, to observe them, and they were sitting to the right of the door. The men looked like little mindless drone months, agreeing with everything that these women were saying, these feminist liberal women. The men could not agree with them anymore. They were doing the head bob, like, yes, honey, yes, honey. Like, not a single brain was firing of independent thought. Meanwhile, I look outside and there's this woman, African-American woman, in a wheelchair. And she could not open the door because she was in a motorized wheelchair, and she tried to open it, kept hitting the tire on the door. They're looking right at her. Not one of them got up to help her. Not one. So I did. I got up. I opened the door for the woman. And I said to her, I said, where would you like to sit, ma'am? Are you staying or you're leaving? She's like, I'm staying. I said, so I'll move a chair because obviously she doesn't need a chair. She has a motorized wheelchair of her own. And it made me laugh in a way because she said thank you. She was very appreciative. She was a nice woman. And her and I talked for a few minutes, kind of like what Sal mentioned outside 7-Eleven. Not once did these 8 liberal people, 4 women, 4 men, look at the woman and look to help her or say a nice, kind thing to her. Here's and I have an innate feeling about people in wheelchairs because I was paralyzed myself for 2 months. I was in a gurney, so I understand that could have easily been me. So I have a feeling of empathy towards these people. These 8 assholes didn't even look at her like she was invisible. So my first thought that came to my mind was, wait a second, liberals, don't they care more about black people than I do, who's a conservative? And don't they care about handicapped people more than I do? Because they're the party of caring. Nope, they didn't give a rat's ass. Don't they care about the downtrodden person in this life? Nah, because they're hypocrites. They're fucking lying, hypocritical pieces of shit. They talk a great game. They all say what they want to do, but they never do it. That happens 98% of the time. A liberal never does it. They just talk about it. Yeah. They always talk about being charitable. They don't give any money to charity. They all talk about helping the minority. They don't help the minority.
I say they talk about it to cover up their cowardice.
Exactly.
They use their higher morals and
their moral superiority
to cover up their cowards.
Exactly. One more thing. I just wanted to keep it local here, and then Sal can go on and talk. But I found something out. Another hypocritical, farcical organization called the New Jersey Teachers Union. I know there's a lot of teachers out there, and I think it's time for you teachers, whether you're liberal, independent, or conservative, to speak up. And I don't even know if some of you teachers agree with this, but the New Jersey Teachers Union donates 99.2% of their money to Democratic-funded organizations. That is unbelievable, because you can't tell me that every 100 teachers that are teaching in New Jersey, 99% are Democrats or liberals. No fucking way. I already know a lot of teachers on Facebook who are complete conservatives that are getting screwed and can't say what they want to.
3 in our family, they're all conservative.
They can't do what they do because they're going to be what, shit on by other teachers who are. But I do know there's more than 99 out of 100. But here's another thing. The president of your teachers union is named Ed Richardson. Do you know he pays himself $1.2 million a year on your dues? And that's 53% higher than any other president of any other teachers union in the country gets. So it's time for you teachers to realize that you're paying a lot of money that's going to a guy who doesn't really do shit for you. So the teachers in this state should really speak up. You're getting screwed over big time. There's some fat cat rich guy who is screwing you bad. As usual, a Democrat stealing money to screw you people over.
Yeah, ruin the future.
And ruin it, exactly. Ruin our children's future is what's happening.
I'm not going to get into San Diego and LA, going into
going
into their epidemic.
There's
like a disease outbreak going on out there in LA and San Diego. There's 500 new cases of hepatitis A. And that's all because of the huge homeless problem they have out there.
Yeah.
And there's no one, people are shitting and going to the bathroom on the streets, as disgusting as that is.
Yes.
It's the truth. And it's causing widespread hepatitis outbreaks.
Of course. If you know anything about health, that's fecal matter is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, this is old news.
Of course. Well, think about this. When you have a dog and you walk your dog in public and your dog takes a shit, if you don't pick it up, you're fined. Exactly. Deservedly so. We have human beings, illegal aliens, people who don't even belong in this country, homeless, shitting in public and leaving it there for people to step on it.
They have to bleach the sidewalks. They have to power wash, bleach the sidewalks.
This is what's happening to our country.
To kill the virus. This is what's going on.
This is what's going on in America. And third world substandard countries.
We'll move on from that nastiness, and we're going to go on. Hungary, the country of Hungary, has lashed out against George Soros in a big way. They have gone.
That's great news.
They've gone completely anti-Soros propaganda.
I love it.
Nothing on all kinds of billboards, all kinds of TV commercials about how, and the motto is "Don't let him have the last laugh." That's the propaganda because they know Soros is undermining all these countries. They know they're undermining his own country in Hungary. They're saying, "Please, people, don't let him have the last laugh. Don't let him have the last laugh because he's gonna get it."
I gotta thank Sal because I did not know this. This is some of the best news I have heard.
Calling him a terrorist.
He absolutely is.
They call him out on everything, which is true. They're calling all he does is spread propaganda throughout these countries to try and bankrupt them. Yeah, he's Hungarian.
Like,
he's
a Hungarian Jew.
That's his home country.
He's hated. He's hated. And why do you think he lives in America? Because those dipshits.
Home country doesn't
hates him.
His own people hate
him. If he goes back there, he'll probably get arrested.
He will be arrested.
Yeah, and these dipshits. That's what's funny about America. If I have to say one bad thing about our country and America, is our freedoms allow assholes like this to go on crazy behavior and get away with it when their own home country, the place that he was born and bred, doesn't even want him back. They want to arrest him and treat him as a terrorist, which I'm all for because I hate it. If I hate anybody he's an American citizen, I believe now. If there's anybody I hate more than fucking George Soros, it might only be Hillary Clinton. But I think here's the thing. I think George Soros is the head of the snake. You cut his head off, and a lot of shit goes bad.
If not the head, he's above. He's where the venom is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we've been talking bad about him for a long time. I've been talking about George Soros and how much I despise him forever. This man spends. I mean, think about this. At one point, he was the third or second richest man in the world. He donates so much money to wrecking countries and wrecking economies and and promoting liberalism. He went from being the second richest man in the country to 24th because that's how much he gives. Almost $1 billion a year he gives away to all these Occupy Democrats, Antifa, Black Lives Matter. That's how much he's trying to destroy America and the rest of the world. Yeah. For his public gain.
So I'm happy that they're going.
That's great news. I didn't know that.
Going.
So hopefully that'll work. Hopefully that'll work. I would love to extradite him there. Just send him back to Hungary and go in as a prisoner and torture this guy, this asshole, and his son.
It's way worse over there.
And his little weasel son, who's another or two sons that are scumbags. But what have you got? Anything else?
No, we ran through all my stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty. You know what? Next week, we're running out of time, so we're not going to go into it. But next week, I want to get into a little more like the Constitution and how that was written and defined and how we can apply it to today's world and how it just getting ripped to shreds on a daily basis.
We'll look into it
more. But with that being said, it's my boy Sal. Gary Gabagool out. Have a great week.
See you later.
And remember, boycott the NFL. Drive those motherfuckers into the shitter worse than we already are. Kill the NFL. Destroy them. Take care. Gabagool out.
Right there at the end when you said that, I mean 30 hearts jumped up when you said that.
Kill the NFL.
That's why I was laughing over here. I'm just watching all the hearts.
Oh, you're going nuts.
Oh.
Facebook would not let me. Normally, there's a share button and you can just share it. Like, now I had to go back and do it all manually. I tried like 5 times. It would not let me share your video.